Hello and welcome to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes, more or less ship review, on the road to Invictus, we have the Mustang Alpha, a ship by Consolidated Outlands. Let's go ahead and take a look at this starter ship. As always, let's start with the price of this ship, with the pack price being $45, which means you'll get the game as well as the ship and 1,000 UEC as well as a starting hangar, which is always great. Now, if you were to buy this ship standalone, maybe you already have ships and you're looking to, just add more to the fleet. This ship does cost $30, or you can just buy it in game. That's always the method you could go as well, which is $655,200 in Loraville. So that's always an option. Now, with the road to Invictus here, the whole point is to make sure that you know what type of ship you're buying when you're getting into Star Citizen, or maybe you're just looking to get another ship in the fleet and you're looking at something smaller. There's a lot of big ships out there, and people already have collected quite a few of those big ships, so sometimes it's just fun to, get into these smaller ones and fly around. But let's, try to get into this one really quick and take a look at what considerably might not be a ship you want to pick, or it might be a ship you want to pick, and there's a few reasons behind that, right? Starting off, past the price point, we go into the damage. Now, remember, everything here is stock, so I don't really typically discuss upgrades, but there is something I do want to mention with this and ship weapons. So basically, your stock damage on the Mustang Alpha is 368 DPS, and that's because it has two size 2 CF227 Badgers here on the front. Now, it is on like a nose mount, so do be careful. Anytime you are attacking a target, you are typically going face to face, obviously, so that weapon mount could potentially get destroyed pretty quickly, so keep that in mind when you're fighting. And then you can also, and this is the part that I typically don't discuss, you can also upgrade this ship and add 2 more guns to this ship. There are 2 more hardpoints, and it allows you to add 2 size 1 guns, and that is, additional firepower for you, which is always awesome. Especially as a starter ship, being able to add more guns to a ship is not too common, so being able to on a starter ship, let alone any ship, is always fantastic. Now, this ship doesn't have any missiles, even though you'd think it would. It has the hardpoint locations, or at least it looks like it does, but it doesn't. There's no missiles on this boat, so you can't expect to, fight anybody with any sort of distractions or missile firepower, nothing like that. It's kind of too bad. Every other starter ship I've reviewed so far has had a missile payload of some sort, and so it's always kind of crappy when those are missing, but it's not the end all, because honestly, missiles hardly work anyways. And when they do work, it's beautiful, but it's not that often. Now, a lot of that has to do with servers, but that's a whole different discussion. I know, a whole nother day. But let's continue on here. Comparing that DPS, let's talk about that really quick, just so you know all the starter ships and their comparisons, just like I've been doing with all the other videos. The Cutter has 296 DPS, the C8X has 236, the Titan has 1,858, the Aurora has 242, the 100i sitting at 450, and the Soylent sitting at 393, or 395, yeah. So typically, this ship, it's not terrible, but it's also not, amazing. Is it a ship that you can really go out and fight in? Yeah, you can fight in this ship, right? You're not going to probably do too much, and you're not going to last too long, especially in the new master modes and all that, just because laser repeaters probably aren't the route, especially if those are the only 2 guns you have. It is probably better to swap those out for something else, right? But also just because the type of ship it is. It's a starter ship. It's not meant to go out there and do, very extensive bounty hunts, right? You could do limited targets, limited low-level bounties, kind of get your foot in the door, and that is the whole point. of a starter ship, which is fantastic. So you can definitely do that with the ship, and it's not a bad looking ship to do it in. Now, past that, you do have 3,000 shield, so that's pretty good. You know, there are a couple other starters out there that don't have that much. Now, that shield is a bubble shield, and just like I mentioned every time, that bubble shield means when you get attacked, it takes from the entirety of the shield. So it doesn't take from one side, it takes from the whole thing. Make sure you be careful and you keep an eye on that shield. Now, compared to other ships, that would be the Cutter has 1,500 shield, the C8X has 1,500 shield, and the Titan has 3,000 shield. The Aurora has 3,000 shield, the 100i sitting at 1,500, and the Soylent sitting at 3,000. So in comparison, this is actually not bad. For a starter, that's pretty good. Man, I'm happy to report that too, because it's always a bummer when a ship has only 1,500 shield. It goes by so quick, it's like, why bother even having it? Now, for ship HP, you do sit at 8,731, which is not terrible. Absolutely not. I think the wind just kicked me there a little bit. It's not the lowest out of all starters, and it's not the highest. So ship HP, you got the Cutter sitting at 17,100, the C8X sitting at 6,250, and the Titan sitting at 11,900, as well as the Aurora at 5,740, and the 100i at 3,900, which is still ridiculous in my opinion. The Soylent sitting at 11,740. So all in all, it's not terrible. It's in the top, 3? So that's top four. Yeah, I'd say top 4. It's not terrible at all, and it's still a pretty decent for the price of the ship, sitting at only at $45 for the pack. That's a great amount of health points. Now, past that, you do have 4 SCU of cargo space, so I'll show you where that's at really quick. It's in a little area back here. You would just go back here and open this port up here, and it drops down the whole box, which is going to lift the ship a little bit, because obviously I'm sitting in a weird angle. And then you can open this up, and that's where the boxes would sit. Or if you want to shove a dozen bodies in there, you probably could. All you have to do is press that button again. It closes it all up. Well, you have to press the one up here too. So, yeah, whatever. The Cutter sits at 4 SCU. The C8X at 4 SCU. The Titan sits at 8 SCU. So that's still awesome. The Aurora sits at 3 SCU. The 100i, only 2 SCU. And the Soylent sitting at 6 SCU. So in comparison, it's pretty average, pretty good. 4 is not bad for a starter ship. Not bad at all. Now, let's talk about the speed of this ship. Is it extremely high? No. Is it extremely low? No. It's pretty much in the middle, pretty average. Your top SCM speed is 225 with your forward boost at 500 and your rear boost at 260. In comparison to the other ships, they sit at the Cutter at 180, the C8X at 220, the Titan at 260, the Aurora at 225, the 100i at 260. That was a surprise. The Soylent at 225, and so it's pretty average. Pretty good to know that too, because speed definitely does come to account when you're trying to run away from a target, especially when you don't have much to fight with. Now, the navigation mode sits at 1,200, so navigation speed is pretty high. It's not terrible, but definitely not on the higher end of the starter scale. And then for quantum fuel, you have 671 quantum fuel, which is pretty normal for a starter ship. There are a couple other starter ships, as you can see on screen, that have 671 or below. But, you also have the Cutter that sits at 1,960. The C8X that sits at 742, the Titan at 612. Oh, that was so disappointing. And the Aurora at 671, the 100i at 805, the Soylent at 2,900. So, yeah, 671 won't get you too far, and that's kind of a bummer. But again, as a new player, you're going to be stopping at some locations quite often, probably, just to get used to the game. So refuel every time you do. Past that, this ship, it's pretty straightforward. It's a starter ship without any sort of interior. There is different models of this ship that do have an interior, and I will make sure to review those models to give you an idea. You can access your storage right here. If you were to press F and hold it or right click, you can open storage and get your internal access, so you can put like armor or whatnot in there. So that's pretty cool. Outside of that, once you get into the ship, it's pretty straightforward. In the more advanced models, you would turn to your right and press exit into the interior, and the seat would rotate around, and you'd have like a small kitchen back there. But in the starter ship, you don't have that. There's nothing else to it. It is a single-seater. There's no living space, no nothing, no bed. It's pretty disappointing in that fact. As you can see, there is no way to turn around or anything. So you just got to remember that in a starter ship, it's nice to have the extra amenities, so you don't always have to be stuck, to having to land at the station constantly, back and forth. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn the ship on and take off here really quick. As you can see, put up my landing gear. The wings do fold out when you do so, and you're good to go. Get on out of here. Pretty neat little ship, pretty neat little starter ship. Is it worth the price? Yeah, I mean, any ship package at $45 or $30 standalone is worth the price. It's an extra ship. It's an extra ship that you can add to upgrade from, right? To get used to the game, to get used to everything. Is it one that I would personally get? Out of all the starters available, probably not. But it also has an ejector seat. Sorry, ADHD kicking in there for a second. Now, you also have 48 decoys, 5 noise, and then, of course, if you were to swap into... Oh, wait, I was already in SEM. I think I messed up my... Did I hit the wrong button? There we go. Oh, no. I must have messed up my guns. See, I think I broke my guns because I landed too hard. Whatever. Anyways, they do have a pretty good capacitor, 121 shots. Now, if I were to give this ship a score, honestly, it's going to sit at a 7 out of 10, and that's because it is a pretty decent starter ship for what it is, but it's missing the living space, and it's just average overall, all around, and no missiles too. It's very average all around. It's not perfect at anything, and it's not terrible at anything. It's a very in the middle starter ship. It's a ship that you cannot go wrong with. But you just like I just exampled here, got to be careful with those nose guns. So yeah, let me know what you think of the Mustang Alpha down in the comments below. Is this a ship that you've had? You want to have, you're going to buy, whatnot, whatever. Let me know what you think of it down below. And hey, tell me, what are you most excited about when it comes to Invictus? What do you think they're going to announce for a concept ship? Oof, it's going to be a very interesting show starting on the 17th, Friday. Very exciting. Couple days. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all. You're all very awesome. And I will see you guys in the next one.